Alright guys, getting a little bit sick of starting videos off like this. I don't know how well you can see this on camera, but I think you should be able to see it. This area right here, this was grass on Friday. And with drifts, we are now about waist high. If we look up here, that right there, if you guys remember when we introduced the Cavalier, there's a car under there that we've been waiting to talk about. That's a full-size car, I can tell you that part. She's probably going to take a little while to be able to be seen. That snow is literally up over the top of the car. Again, we are mid-April here in Wisconsin. So, back to the garage. Been working on a few things. Just getting started out here for today. Starting to make a little bit of progress. Figured we'd give you guys an update. Let you watch as we work on trying to get the bumper figured out. So, welcome back. Here's the car. Had the drill press out for a little bit. My torch is currently out of oxygen, and I learned this weekend that our gas supply place is not open on Saturdays, so we've been just chugging away with what we have. We had the bumper shocks are cut. We've got some 2x4 tubing that we just cut some holes with the angle grinder because, again, don't have a torch. So Adam's getting that fit back into where we had to cut it out again after you guys saw our wore out mistakes yesterday as we were trying to get things finished up. Moving a little bit too fast, not exactly thinking through. So now, I don't know how well you can see that. We have a light over here. Maybe I'll see it a little bit better on this side. Yeah, there you go. So there's that 2x4 tubing. Again, we're allowed 8 inches inside the frame. So it goes back through the frame, and then the threaded rod goes down through that, trying to tie everything together fairly well here. We will get that tight to the core support there, obviously. And then we have our threaded rod that you guys saw us put in yesterday. So we're going to work on trying to get the bumper put together. It's just going to be a square tube bumper, so we're just going to set it up here. Put it on some jack stands, weld it to the two 2x4 bumper shocks, I guess you would call them, just to work on making it so that everything's good and solid up front, make sure that we're not losing our bumper during the derby. So I'm going to throw you guys back up on the time lapse so you can follow along with us, and I'll cut back in here soon. You can see where we're at. Alright, I'm just finishing up the last weld here on the bumper. 4x4 square tube, 1/4 inch thick. As you guys saw, we just laid her up there. Welded it onto that bumper shock that we had made. Just put a plate over the top just to help keep things on. Obviously that's nothing crazy material-wise that's going to help add any strength. Really the biggest thing is us as well as everybody else. We all hate having bumpers on the track. We all hate having to have red flags, stopping, that kind of stuff. And the last thing that you want to do is have somebody like me driving a car with no bumper on the front of it, because I'd end up with the motor in my lap. So got a decent amount of work done on the front end. We're going to just probably run the last two pieces of all thread next, I'm thinking. Not 100% sure. We'll talk about what to do next. Put you guys back up on the time lapse so you can follow along. Make a little bit more progress yet today. Alright, another minor break in the time lapse. Get you a little bit of a closer look at what we were just working on. So we have our two final threaded rod going through the core support here. Obviously that part of the core support is pretty flimsy. It runs down just through sheet metal, so this is sheet metal to sheet metal, through the bottom on both sides there. Pretty well centered in the car. Hoping that this will give us a little bit of extra protection, a little bit extra strength once we put the hood on. Overall, coming together pretty well. I'm going to keep plunking away, see what we can work on next. Alright, so after a little bit of deliberation, we decided we've made enough progress for this weekend. We're going to call it a weekend. And I'm fat, so I'm going to get some food. Adam's skinny. He's got to eat too, though, I suppose. Do a quick walk around here as far as what's left that needs to be done to this car. So we got the hood sitting over there against the wall. We'll get our holes cut for that. We'll move the hood forward a little ways. We'll have some space left up here. Obviously we want to make sure that the wiring that we have run over the dash is safe. Nothing extremely important there as far as like safety, but obviously if that group of wires gets cut, we're probably dead in the water. So definitely made a decent amount of progress, but what needs to be done yet? We are going to be jacking the front of the car up. We'll put some cable clamps on the springs, get a little bit more height. We'll go through, show you how we do that. We'll try to get a little bit more close up while we're actually doing that, and do it in more of a real time instead of doing that part under the time lapse, because that shouldn't really take too long. Driver's door is welded, solid. Nothing really much to do there. Back door on the driver's side is welded, as is allowed by the rules. Back end creasing has got a pretty decent amount of progress on it done already. Back bumper's off. Not really a whole lot that we have left to do there. We will still have to weld passenger side. That's still open. Seat's in there right now pushing against it. We'll get the seat put in. That's probably important. We'll weld the passenger front door. Obviously some more creasing left to do. We can do that on the time lapse so you can see crackhead speed. Did I miss anything, Adam?
I think that's it. Just the internal stuff. Tank protector, tank back.
Yeah, and that'll probably be a different set, because once we have this vehicle pretty much derby ready, the gas tank, the fuel pump, battery box, all that stuff is going to be done a little bit later. We'll do that just before the show. We still have a couple months here before our first show, so we'd have to work on a couple other cars yet that are going to have the pumps and tanks and stuff that will be needed for this car. This car will get different wheels on it. I do have a set of steel wheels, and we'll put some tractor tires on her. I run 6-ply, just nothing over crazy. But we'll get some diggers put on it so that we're in a little bit better shape there, and we'll get rid of those aluminum wheels. For the back, I do have a couple donuts that'll fit this car, but honestly, I know everybody does what everybody does. Everybody wants to follow everybody else. That's not really my thing. Being as this is a team show that we know is going to be heats, and then maybe a consi, then maybe a feature, it's hard to say how many runs this car will have to make in one day. My biggest issue when I run donuts is I usually end up with a wheel up underneath the car, or it's so balled up in the back that you're at the track trying to get it clear can be a little bit of a pain. So what I will probably do is leave something like this on the back for the heat. I'll take the donuts with me as things start to crumple together. Hopefully the tire will be a little bit more rigidity, stop things from moving too much. Then if we have to, depending on clearance issues, pull the tire off, put a donut on for either a consi or a feature, and give us a little bit more room as needed instead of starting off that way. Work on trying to get everything packed in well in the heat and see how things go. So appreciate you guys following us along this weekend. We're going to definitely see some further progress on this. I'll probably be out tinkering with things a little bit, so if I do any work on the car, I'll make sure to bring you guys along. And then as we get, hopefully, our giant snowstorm outside should be melted by the end of the week, the way the forecast looks. So we will be getting that giant car that was parked right out in front of this garage door that I showed you guys is completely buried in snow. That is the next one to come into the garage, and we'll start pulling that apart, and we'll do an intro walk around on that video as well. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you following along.